order. We're going to start with roll call.
Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Councilman Galvin,
Here.
Councilman Bieneme,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Keys,
Here.
Councilwoman Sterriel. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We will proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance with our Commander, Major.
Everybody please stand and face the flag and place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and we'll proceed with the invocation with Rabbi Lang.
Michael.
Everybody please find a seat so we can proceed peacefully.
You'll excuse Michael and my presence. We just came from a youth group meeting. We ask God to invoke his blessing upon everyone who's here. Today, by the way, marks the 70th anniversary of Auschwitz, one of the worst mass murders in the history of the world. And it just reminds us with what's going on right now, how this horrible historical event can be repeated, that there's such hatred in the world. We were just reminded with those two Japanese victims. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what color your skin is. People who hate, hate, and that's unacceptable. I ask that the God of your belief empower you to have the ability to love those people who hate you and to be smarter than them, to discard their ignorance and to prove them wrong by all of our actions. One way we have to do that is that there's a organization that we're starting again. It's the Mayor's Unity Task Force. The word unity is extremely important. It's the Mayor's Unity Task Force. We're going to meet once a month at Beth Moshe, a Jewish synagogue. The meetings are going to be a lunch meeting, and I want to encourage everyone to be part. What we want is to every year pick one either event or goal that the whole community works on together, so that we could work together for the sake of the community, together. Maybe something for the youth, maybe something for the police department, something that would benefit everyone. And so I ask, although we don't have the date yet, it will be announced within the next week, the first meeting that will be every month. And even though it's going to be at the synagogue, I'm asking anyone who's interested in being involved to please be in contact either with Michael Stahl, myself, or the mayor's office. First thing that we're going to do is come up with something that affects the whole community, that creates unity, and then we're going to work together. And so I conclude by saying, whereas we ask God to bless us, with this being the 70th anniversary of one of the worst atrocious events in history, that it should never be repeated, and that we should all learn from our mistakes, and that there's no place for hatred, and that our city should be a symbol of unity and love, and that all of our council people, all the people that work here, our chief and all the other officers that we have should be blessed, should be healthy, and should be safe, and we say amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Rabbi. We will continue with order of business. Mr. Manager, I would like to ask you please to pull the item, the tab L, because I do have a lot of information that I have to review, and I am not ready yet to discuss or vote on this item based on our last meeting we had with you and along with the CPND director, Ms. Tanya Wilson Sejour.
Which item?
Tab L.
And Mr. Mayor, and that item should be on the agenda since 2 weeks ago. And we didn't have chance to discuss it and hear what people have to say about it. And I'm pretty much okay with the item, and I'm ready to.
You are okay with it, but you are not the one asking to delete it. I'm asking to delete it because I am not okay with it. And there is a lot of information that is needed to make, to entertain that discussion. And after the last meeting that I had with the manager, along with my director of CPND, I did ask the manager to please do some research along with the director. And I had received some last minute information while I was in Washington, D.C., and I have not had the opportunity to consult some experts on that issue. I do not make decisions based on my emotions, but I make decisions based on what I think is best for the city of North Miami and the residents who live in it. So at this time, I'm please asking to yield to that and allow me to please remove this item, and we will consider it at our next meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to know what items it is you have concerns with. It's not that I wouldn't be open to continuing this item, but not knowing why you want it continued.
It's an item from the Biskin Lending Project asking us to allow them to do pretty much whatever they want on that 183 acres, which is a leased property from the city of North Miami. And I've been in office for 10 weeks now. And as we know it, Biskin Lending is a very large project that's going to last about 10 years. And after 10 weeks in office, if I am not comfortable with an item, and I do have a mandate from the citizens, and they are all sitting here before me, and I am not going to act in bad faith just because I want to rush into an item in a project that's going to last 10 years. So there is a lot of information that I need to digest. And is the Ms. Director here? The last text that you sent me about the CAD, the CAD, what computer, what does CAD stand for again?
Computer-aided design.
Yeah. So according to that last correspondence you had with me, it seems like this is giving the company the a leeway of moving any major road or walkway by 100 feet, 200 feet is not something that is feasible.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the city attorney, if we open this up to Madam Secretary here, are we not on the agenda item and we're going to be discussing it? I mean, if we're going to discuss it, let's discuss it. If
Well,
we're
I'm
not gonna
asking to
discuss it-
delete it, and I was hoping that you would at least understand that this is an item. The agenda, as we know it, is set and discussed and done with the city manager, the mayor, and along with the city attorney.
The
This
council,
item came before me, and I made it very clear that I did not want it on the agenda. After I discussed it with Mr. Manager on Thursday, while I was in Washington, D.C., I did my due diligence as a mayor and as I was elected to defend any bad faith decision that would be done to cause any detriment to the city. That's what I would do. So that's why before I left all my information for me to be aware of every decision that would be taking place. On
Mr. Mayor,
Thursday, I was in a session with Mr. Manager, and I made it very clear to him, this is not the way that this item is presented. It is not fair. It will not do good to the city of North Miami to put it on this agenda the way it was.
I'm
Only
not
only to
disagreeing.
find out when I get back that the item was put on the agenda without my knowledge. As the mayor of the
Mr.
city
Mayor,
of
that's
North
incorrect.
Scott, I am
Let him
speaking,
finish.
please.
It's fine. Let him finish.
I was elected citywide with over 7,000 votes, and there is no one on this dais that can say the same thing. So when you have a mandate from 7,000 residents who say, Doc, I have faith in you, I trust you, I want you to act on my behalf so that you can look after the interests of the city of North Miami, that's what I was mandated to do, and that's what I intend to do tonight. Like I said, the agenda is set between the mayor, the city manager, and along with Madam Attorney. And I made it very clear that it would not be in the best interest of the city of North Miami to discuss that item tonight the way it is.
Mr. Mayor, we'd like to be recognized if we
So
can.
not
on
at this time,
issue.
sir. Can you please have a seat? We are not on the agenda
I
yet.
understand. It is our
Can you please
application
have
that
a
you're
seat, sir?
discussing.
Go ahead.
I'm waiting
Mr.
for the manager to respond to everything that I just said. And
Let's
I'm
actually,
asking Mr. Manager to please speak and discuss everything that we went through on that item, and how did it arrive to be printed on the agenda without my knowledge.
the thing is,
I
Mr.
am
Mayor, I have to-
asking Mr. Manager, Constillman, please.
Mr. Mayor,
I am
Mr.
asking the
Mayor,
Mr.
I've been on this
Manager.
council for a long time. The
I am
ma-
asking Mr. Manager to please explain how did this item get to be on the agenda tonight?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, with all due respects,
The mic.
Mr. Mayor, as discussed, I was with you in Washington. We looked at the agenda. You gave me a directive to remove the resolution pertaining to Biscayne Landings.
I didn't ask you to remove it.
To
It was not on the agenda, period.
Right.
I couldn't ask you to remove something that is not there.
Right. The directive was you needed additional information
Yes,
before that item went back on the agenda.
yes.
The agenda was posted without the resolution. I got calls from other members of my city council. At that time, I was directed from other members of my council that they want the proposed resolution back on to be put on the January 27th agenda, and I did that. The resolution pertaining to the Biscayne Landing conditional use permit. That item went back on the agenda based on direction I got from 3 of my council members. We discussed it. There was some information that you required concerning the 40 feet. We discussed 10 feet. We then, subsequent to that, we got additional information from our community planning and zoning director while we were there concerning a 40-foot distance, and we were discussing it. That's how the item had ended up on the agenda.
So we're discussing an item that's in the agenda that we don't want to be in the agenda, but we're still discussing it.
The mayor requested it, so he wanted to
No,
know
but-
how it got on the agenda.
No, it's because some other people want it on the agenda. That's what we are discussing.
Mr. Mayor. So at this time, if it's your will to pull it,
But there's
Okay,
a
now-
process.
There is a process.
This
We need a
item,
vote on it.
okay, now, what happened to the email that was sent to the other party when this proposed resolution came to us? There was a response to it. Where is that response?
What email are we referencing? We're discussing this item. Let's just discuss it. I mean, let's not
We can
beat around the bush.
always-
We're on the.
Well, I think,
I,
That's so
I,
funny.
I
We're
motion,
discussing
I
the
motion that
item.
we move item L to the top of the agenda and that we open public discussion on item L.
I
Or,
second that.
I support and I second that.
No, for us to discuss it now and then move on.
Sorry.
No, the proper procedure is to open public discussion after a staff presentation, and then we make a motion and vote on it afterward if so we choose. The process is not. We've been out of order for years to make motions and approve and then open public discussion. The public discussion comes first, and then if there's a motion, so be it. Clearly, there are a lot of people here that want to hear item L. I'm one of them, Mr. Mayor. I again make the motion, and it was seconded to move item L to the front of tonight's agenda and to hear it now.
I'm simply referring to the dynamics that occurred prior to it getting to the agenda. Had the rules been followed properly, then we would not have had this discussion tonight.
But they
What I
were.
am saying is, listen to me. What I'm saying is, when there is a discussion between a proposed resolution, when you propose for something to be done, and there is a response to that proposition, and that response is not even dealt with, it was completely ignored. I want to know what happened to the response that we sent to the other party. The city residents need to know that too. I
don't
sent
disagree.
a response. Where is that response to this proposed resolution?
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Mayor, but let's have that as part of tonight's discussion. I've made the motion
It
that
was supposed to be worked out. That response was supposed to be dealt with. The other party was supposed to respond to our response before we come to a plausible resolution to be placed on this agenda. This item was not dealt with properly prior to being printed. That is the point that I'm making.
I'd like to second Councilman Galvin's.
I know all of you gonna. It's already been second. I know it's 4 against 1.
Madam City
I know
Attorney.
it's 4. Listen, I already know it's 4 against 1. I simply want to make my point that this item was not dealt with properly before it gets printed on the agenda. I just want to know where is my response, because I responded. Where is my response?
May I speak?
You cannot speak. I am talking to the city manager and Madam Attorney. Where is my response to that proposed resolution before it got printed to the agenda?
What response you guys talking
I
about?
am not
Can
talking to you.
clarify?
I'm talking to Madam Attorney
Mayor,
and city
please
manager.
don't do that. Please
Where
don't
is
do
my
that.
response?
This is, no, but this is.
But where is my response?
If you,
I'm
you,
allowed.
I understand.
I'm
If you
allowed to ask
question,
for
I
my
understand
response.
that, but if you question, we having a council meeting, we having an open forum meeting. So if you cannot having a private conversation with them without us.
Do we have
we
do we
no
have my
clue
response?
What you guys talking about?
Do we have my response?
Are you talking about your issue with the 10 feet and you wanted to know whether?
There is an email that was sent by your deputy attorney, and that was communicated to you after you came back from vacation. I met with the city manager. He told me that yes, he discussed it with you, as well as your deputy.
Wouldn't this be a good time to discuss your questions? While
So-
we have everybody
Right,
here and
so
planning?
can we please call the question
It was
on,
put on the agenda in bad faith. We are acting in bad faith here. That's the point I'm trying to make.
but I would disagree, Mr. Mayor, and I want to be a team player, but the mayor does not play any more of a role in setting the agenda than the other council members.
Oh, so
We
you
all
can-
play an equal
That's
role
okay.
because we have a strong manager form of government, not a strong mayor form
Oh,
of
so
government.
my response doesn't mean anything.
No. But if you want to discuss things that you have an issue with, I'm open to that. We continued this
The
2
issue
weeks
is my
ago,
response. I don't see my response being dealt with.
but I don't know
Well,
what
what
your
question?
question is that you're asking for a response to. And the only way we can really address that is to open the item and discuss it. You may have very valid points that warrant continuing this another 2 weeks. But right now, I don't know what those are. So it's on the agenda. There's clearly a room full of people here. Let's just discuss it. Otherwise, we'll spend 2 hours discussing how we don't discuss it.
Go ahead.
The response actually that you're looking for was a 40-foot email, and the email that you're talking about, it came from our community planning department. And what you're actually discussing is the conceptual plan and the roadway. The roadway was taken and superimposed on a CAD file, which is a computer-aided design AutoCAD file. And in there, it told us that the maximum that the roadway could have been moved without affecting any building structure was 40 feet. And that's what the contents of the email said.
Mr. Mayor, I'll again ask for a, calling the question on the motion that was made to hear this item first up front
You guys
tonight.
want to entertain it tonight? That's fine. Like I said, it's 4 against 1. That's fine. We will move with the special presentations.
Mr. Mayor,
Don't-
I don't
don't
understand. I
assume,
don't even know what you're talking about when you say it's 4 against 1.
We have special presentations now.
No, but-
What's going on? I heard
You,
it's 4 against
Mayor,
1.
you asked to delete an item on the agenda.
But you guys said no.
No, but you
No,
asked that.
We haven't
just leave
voted
it.
But
on
the
it.
agenda said clearly
We
on
have-
Tuesday when I have a meeting with the city attorney about the agenda. Tuesday,
Can we move with the special
prior
presentations, please?
to the meeting, the item was in the agenda, right? Exactly. The item was on the agenda.
No, he said he's not going to move it anymore. But which,
Oh, okay.
So that item's gonna be heard.
Yeah.
I have it here. I have it printed. I have it. But I didn't want to.
Which one am I doing first?
Listen.
You know,
I took it. I have the ordinance. I have it.
Can I borrow your glasses?
Sure.
Huh? Huh? Our first certificate of recognition is being presented to Magali Francois. Miss Magali Francois is a personal banker for Chase Bank, and she is receiving this certificate of recognition today for her great accomplishment as the top personal banker in the Southeast District at Chase Bank. So the city of North Miami is privileged to have your service in our community. So congratulations on your achievement. We wish you continued success. Thank you very much. The next one. Now it's her, right? Now we ask the director of CPND to please come forward and make the special presentations. Huh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're going to recognize the Beautification Award recipients for the last quarter of 2014. As you may recall, the city provides awards on a quarterly basis for property owners, both in residential and commercial categories, that go to great lengths to improve their facades or landscaping or incorporate sustainable elements to the property. So we're going to recognize at this time 2 property owners in the residential category. The first one I'll call is Mr. Goodwin, and he's located at 310 Northeast 126th Street. Is Mr. Goodwin here? Okay, we're recognizing Mr. Goodwin. Big smile. Mr. Goodwin, actually I want to mention, designed his property, and he's a property owner in the historic Griffin Park Estates community, and we have several supporters that are here with him. He's being recognized for building improvements, efficient lighting, shade, zero-scaping on his property, and overall property maintenance and improvement. So we want to recognize Mr. Goodwin on the residential category. Okay. He's worthy of award. We also have under the residential category, the beautification. Yes, we're going to lump the residentials together in the interest of time. And we're also recognizing property owner Ms. Chandon, and she's located at 840 Northwest 121st Street. And Ms. Chandon here. Ms. Chandon, too, is being recognized for property improvements, overall landscaping. She's been in the city for the last 7 years and has made extensive improvements to her property. Under the commercial category, we have 2 award recipients. Okay, we'll pause and take a picture for the residential. Yeah, we have 2 more commercial, so we're just going to do residential together, and then we'll do commercial. He's the tallest.
It's a lot of people in here, that's why.
Okay. We're going to move forward with the commercial properties. We have the Amazing Learning Academy, and they're located at 540 Northeast 124th Street. Is there a representative here from the Amazing Learning Academy? Okay, the Amazing Learning Academy is being recognized for property improvements, architectural appeal, and overall landscape maintenance. There's no one here, so we're going to move on to the last award recipient. That's the Arch Plaza Rehab and Nursing Center. They're located at 12505 Northeast 16th Avenue. We have a representative here. They're being recognized again for architectural appeal, overall facade improvements, and they've added drought-tolerant landscaping, so they're receiving recognition too under the sustainable category. And as we mentioned, each quarter, for those of you that have an interest, if you'd like to make nomination for a particular neighbor, or you think there's a commercial property that's worthy of award or recognition, we have a link on our website. It's intended to improve the aesthetic appeal of the city and to encourage civic participation. So if there's an elderly resident or there's a community effort to make improvement to that elderly resident home, that would be a great award recipient. So we challenge the neighborhoods to really come together and make this something that you can participate in over time. Thank you.
Last but not lastly, we have Mr. Clerk Michael Etienne, who has a special presentation as well.
I want to ask my deputy city clerk to come down here, Stephanie Thomas. I'm Michael Etienne. I'm your elected city clerk. You barely get to see me. The city of North Miami have received an award from the United States Department of State, and this is significant. We've never received this award in the clerk's office before, and I'm going to read out this award to you. It's a certificate of achievement presented to the city of North Miami, our great city, for exemplary service to your community and the U.S. Department of State. Passport services through the conscientious execution of passport applications, excellence in customer service, and commitment to measures that ensure the integrity of the U.S. passport services. Acceptance facility outside program compliance visit on December 11, 2014, in which the city of North Miami received a perfect score. and this was executed by the Director, U.S. Department of State, Miami Passport Agency. This is significant. You go ahead. Stephanie, Tom, where is that? This is extremely significant. You have to understand that the clerk's department services roughly 65 to 70 people on a daily basis. They don't come in there to pay water bills. They come in there for the sole purposes of seeking services. We have 6, 7 staff members in which Louis Teleska and Stephanie leads them all. And we have never received this compliance award from the United States Department of State. I'm going to let Stephanie give a couple of words, but I wanted her to be acknowledged publicly and to take a photo with the card because they're doing a very great job.
Good evening, everyone. This is definitely a privilege to receive this, especially I've been in the job for 6 months. So I'm very proud of myself and our staff. And with Michael's leadership, I am honored to receive this award.
And one more thing, we couldn't do what we do without the strong alliances that I have on the city council. And of course, Councilman Galvin, Councilman Bieneme, Mayor Dr. Smith, Steril, and Councilwoman Keys. Whenever, as the elected clerk, I need any type of support from the council to get the job done down at the clerk's office, they're always standing behind me and they're always supporting me. And especially the A+ guy, Alim Ghani, one of the best city managers we've ever had. He's a great guy, and we couldn't do without him. But go.
What are they? What's your percentage? 125. 125. It's getting there. Mike, I'd like to read into the record. Tab I will be pulled.
Okay, now let's move with the consent agenda.
Before moving on, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull tab I, the item concerning the MOCA board appointments. That's the tab that I've gotten additional information on,
Okay.
and it will be presented at the next meeting.
Motion to continue tab I till the February meeting.
Second.
All right.
Okay, the motion was made by, we don't really need a motion for it. You guys want me to record the vote? Because you technically don't need to.
Either way.
Okay, so we're not going to record the vote. City manager has pulled tab I.
No, that's Scott. Scott.
Go ahead, roll call. Hmm?
We don't need to move it if the city manager.
No, just roll call.
Scott.
What?
No, they don't need to do anything.
Okay. Consent agenda is up to I. Political resolution, the tab J.
Yeah, we just,
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the consent agenda.
I second it.
I thought we said we agreed.
No, we didn't. We haven't voted on it yet.
Ah, we voted. Okay.
anyone wishes to record a yay to move the consent agenda?
Yay.
Yeah.
Item passes. Consent agenda was approved 5-0. Okay.
Tab J.
Tab H, Mayor. Tab H, discussion.
H.
Yes.
But there is a motion that was on the table to move tab L to the first, on the top of.
The
yeah.
motion died because the item was remaining on the agenda.
Oh, okay, okay.
So tab H, discussion regarding appointments to the city of North Miami's board. I'm going to read out all the appointments that are being made, and I'm just get a motion in a second. Regarding Councilman Bieneme would like to place Emmanuel Genti on the Planning Commission Board. Regarding Councilwoman Steril, she would like to appoint Michael McDermott to the Board of Adjustment Board. Councilman Scott Galvin would like to appoint Sherry L. Doctor to the Advisory Committee on the Disabled. Clark Reynolds to the Community I'm sorry, we're gonna skip that. And Community Relations Board, Cherry L. Doctor to the Community Relations Board. Mayor Smith Joseph would like to make the following appointments. Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, Ronald Suri and Pastor Joan Fanfan. Board of Adjustment Committee, Peggy Bull, Daniel Calix, Mary Irvin as an alternate, and Laura Hill as an alternate.
What is that?
Business Development Board, Keno Isidore, Central Business District, Rendell Balserio, Central Business District. Community Relations Board, Fritz Nicholas, Alberta de Meriton. Quality Education Board, Fritz Isma. Health Advisory Board, Serena White. Planning Commission, Peggy Bull, Kenny Each, at-large appointment, Daniel Calix, at-large appointment, Michael McDermott, alternate, Mary Irvin, alternate. And last, the Youth Opportunity Board, Alberta de Merthurin. These were appointments made by Mayor Smith Joseph. May I have a motion to approve the appointments?
Move the slate.
May I have a second?
Second.
Anyone wishes to, may I have, anyone wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0. Sorry, Scott, I tried to fight.
But next time we gotta do it 1 and 1.
All right,
Okay.
type J.
Tab J, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, authorizing the designation of the Northeast 132nd Street fountain located generally at the intersection of Northeast 132nd Street, Northeast 9th Avenue, and West Dixie Highway as a local historic landmark consistent with policy 8.1.7 parentheses 9 of the North Miami Comprehensive Plan and pursuant to Chapter 16A, Historic Preservation, Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances, establishing a historic preservation program in the city consistent with policy 3A-3-3 of the North Miami Comprehensive Plan, supporting the activities of the Greater North Miami Historical Society, and further authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary with the Miami-Dade County Office of Historical Preservation pursuant to Section 16A-3.1 Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances to effectuate the designation of the Northeast 132nd Street fountain as a historic landmark, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
So moved.
Tab J.
Second.
Item was moved by
Second.
Item was moved by Councilwoman Sterling. It was seconded by Councilman Bieneme.
Oh, that's the mayor's item.
Is there a presentation or anything from staff?
Yeah.
There is one with
To the mayor.
director.
Thank you. For the record again, Tanya Wilson Sejour, Community Planning and Development Department. As I mentioned at the last council meeting, staff had done research during the downtown concept plan process and discovered that there was a structure, an old structure at Northeast 132nd Street and Dixie that actually predates the history of the city. We determined at the time, based on the record plats that we had looked at and researched with the North Miami Historic Society, that the structure was over 90 years old. To our shock and alarmment, we learned that the structure was actually not designated, meaning that it's not protected. There was no way in terms of any future restoration to ensure the integrity of the structure wouldn't be harmed. So we had conversations with the Miami-Dade County Historic Board and determined that there is a process in place where the city could receive historic designation of the structure. It would be the first structure within the city that would obtain that designation and allow for at least future protection of the structure moving forward, as well as open up the city to have opportunities to apply for grants for any future restoration for historic structures throughout North Miami. And the important thing with this structure that I want to mention is that at the time that it was envisioned 90 years ago, there's a developer that was called Edward Constance that was responsible for, he's smiling, responsible for the development of the Iron Manor subdivision. A lot of this history we were able to glean from the Historic Society. So you'll notice one of the things we included in the resolution was recognition for the efforts of the Historic Society and understanding that these structures are a reflection of North Miami's past and certainly should be something that we should make great efforts to preserve. So at least there will be something that we have as a legacy for the city. It at the time was designed to be a public art feature for that subdivision and was created. So it's interesting that even prior to the existence of the city, public art was an important piece that really dates itself in terms of the relevance of North Miami and how we celebrated public art at the time. So we're excited to bring this forward. I know there are representatives from the Historic Society that are here tonight that
Alan
have a
Sokol.
few words they'd like to share. So I'm going to leave the podium to give them an opportunity to really give the right punch to this item and talk about historic preservation, how important it is to North Miami.
Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, honored citizens of the city of North Miami, I feel like I just came through I-95. We are indeed most pleased and honored that the city has taken the opportunity to recognize our efforts and preserve our cultural and historical legacy in the city of North Miami. It is indeed very enlightening and indeed most enheartening that we are now about to begin the historic designation process and protect our cultural and historical legacy here tonight. The Greater North Miami Historical Society has always enjoyed a very positive working environment with all groups within the city, particularly the City Council, and indeed we look forward to continuing those efforts. We have now begun to work more closely with the city. We look forward to continuing our work in collaboration with them and preserving our historical legacy. On behalf of the Greater North Miami Historical Society, I bid you welcome and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sokol. And this is a very important part of our city, as we always said. The settlers who came before us, they had a plan when they came, so we intend to cherish what they did when they first started. And those of us who come, talking about, especially I as an immigrant in this country, it's very good for us to know the history of where we live, so we can preserve what the previous people who came before us, had in mind when they came to this part of the country. Thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much on behalf of the Greater North Miami Historical Society.
Thank you. Well, we want to also have reflected in the resolution what the name for this tower, for it to be named the Pioneer Fountain. No, we have public hearings first, so. On the name? Yeah, you can. That's an amendment, yes, yeah, we can vote on it.
Yeah, you need to amend it to reflect the
reflect
name Pioneer Fountain as the naming for that structure.
For the tower.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion? Okay, now we still have to have a public hearing on the item. Anybody who wishes to be heard on this item, please come to the mic. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is now closed.
Okay, Mayor, we had a motion. A motion was made by Councilwoman Steril, and it was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. And so that motion was already on the floor. So I'm going to ask Councilwoman Steril if she mind if the motion is to include the amended language in which the tower shall be named Pioneer Fountain.
Agreed.
Agree. So the motion was made by Councilwoman Steril. It was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. Anyone who wishes to record a no? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
may I thank you publicly? There have been a lot of people, including Mr. Sokol, who for more than 20 years have been fighting for the recognition of North Miami's history. And I tip my hat to you, if I was actually wearing one, tip my hat to you to say thank you for bringing this item forward. It's greatly appreciated by a lot of North Miamians.
Thank you very much.
Tab K, proposed ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending chapter 29 of the city of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations by amending Article 3, Division 4, entitled Conditional Uses, at Section 3-409, entitled Appeals, and Section 3-410, entitled Changes to Conditional Use Approvals, to further clarify conditional use requirements for master planned development, providing for conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Public hearing is now open on tab K.
Is there any staff presentation, Mr. Mayor?
That's the second reading.
I don't
That's
believe so.
That's the
Is there any
That's
staff
the second
presentation?
reading.
No, 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 no.
No.
I move the item since it's a second reading.
Second.
Mr. Mayor and council members, if I may, I would like to address the council with regard to this item.
Go ahead, sir.
And I apologize, the mic doesn't seem to be very loud.
You have to just sort of speak into it.
Forgive me. For the record, my name is Carter McDowell, the Bills and Sunberg, here representing Olita Partners, the developer of Biscayne Landing. This particular text amendment was actually an application that we filed seeking amendment to the land development regulations in accordance with numerous discussions we'd been having with the city on the larger business deal and other related matters. We would ask that there be, we had several meetings and actually thought that a slightly clarified version of this ordinance was going to be submitted to you as part of your agenda packet. That doesn't seem to have occurred. So we would ask that there be a couple clarifying amendments added to this ordinance. And actually late this evening, I was asked by at 5:15 today, I was asked by the city attorney if we would consider yet another amendment, which we are fine with, and I will go through that too. Let me, Wendy, can I?
Is this what you had here?
No, this is the ordinance. Actually, just if you would give one.
Thank you.
This ordinance has been before the planning board and has been passed on first reading. The clarifications that we are asking be made do not change the title and therefore within the parameters of the advertisement for this item. It is a text amendment which was properly advertised. On page 3, under item C, there is a slight modification to add the phrase, notwithstanding any provision to the contrary in this section 3-410, and then it goes on to say a previously approved and issued conditional use permit, as may be amended from time to time, shall clearly define within its terms what constitutes a minor or substantial revision under subsection A. That's what I've just handed to you. I was asked this evening by the city attorney if we would consider making a further amendment to item L that's going to come to you, and to conform the two together, it would say under subsection A and B. So we would ask that you approve those changes. And there's one additional change that I think the city had actually asked for up above, and that is under number 2. And that is the city in this initial change had said location of any major road by more than 10 feet was considered a minor that does not alter the location of major road by more than was considered a minor revision.
That's the item?
Because of the way your code is drafted,
That's not the item we are discussing. That's what tab L. That's the second reading on tab K,
The ordinance.
right?
That's the
It's-
ordinance.
That's what it's referring to.
Yes,
we're-
yes.
this is the ordinance that we're
This is
discussing.
the ordinance.
The ordinance is on
item-
second reading, the resolution is first reading.
Right.
Okay.
So honestly, if you approve that amendment, we're fine with it. If you don't, we're fine with it too. We would ask that you adopt the subsection C as I've just read it into the record with the ending of subsection A and B so that it conforms with the discussions we had with the city attorney today at 5:15. And with that, we would ask that you approve this. What this ordinance really does is it allows the city to recognize that conditional use permits apply to many different types of properties. In the case of Biscayne Landing, it's 183 acres. In the case of many other conditional use permits and most other conditional use permits that this city sees, they're 5 acres, they're 1 acre, they're 2 acres, sometimes they're 10 or 15 acres, but there are no other conditional use permits that apply to a property the size of Biscayne Landing. What this text amendment does is it allows you, the city, to recognize that there are different conditional use permits and conditions that are appropriate to those differing types of approvals. And with that, we would ask for your positive vote on this text amendment, and we'll be back to talk to you, presumably, about the resolution.
Proposed to private recognition of the structure within the previously approved use to develop and review process.
Okay. Can I talk right now?
Okay. Public hearing. Public hearing is open.
Yes, my name is Camille Merlis, Executive Director of American International Relief, Inc., 13015 Northwest 7th Avenue. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilwoman Galvin, Mr. Manager. American International Relief, Inc. serves the community through 3 local programs. Gym Youth Academy, our educational and crime prevention program.
Mr. Marylis.
Yes.
Sauvager.
Yes.
The public forum is not yet open. I mean, citizens forum is not yet open. We are not there yet.
I'm here, Mr. Mayor, to speak on behalf of Biscayne Landing.
Oh, okay.
Biscayne Landing, what that company means for our community. Because of Biscayne Landing, our food program is going to have a U-Haul truck that will allow us to go to Homestead, pick up food, bring that food to the city of North Miami to give to needy families. Because of this Biscayne Landing, we have been able to pay our landlord so we don't get evicted from our place. Because of Biscayne Landing, we stayed till 8:30 p.m. at night to watch those kids for those needy families. I am here tonight to ask all of you to give an okay to Biscayne Landing to allow that company, which is going to make history with those $200 million that will be injected in our community. And this is the first time we're going to have a company to bring that type of money to our community. And that's why we think you are the political side, but now we need the economic power in our community, and Biscayne Landing is going to allow us to achieve that goal. So I am here to ask you, because of Biscayne Landing, I hope to become a millionaire.
Thank you very much, Sauvager.
So please, and there are going to be several millionaires in that community.
You know, you always make sense when you talk. Public hearing is still open.
Good evening, everyone. William Previtel, 11950 North Bayshore Drive. As I've said before, we could sort of see this coming, except for possibly you, Mr. Mayor, who was not mayor when there was a council meeting, a very hurried council meeting, immediately prior to your election and your installment, of which I've never seen anything so importantly pushed away, pushed forward, that we would take a 3-hour break during a council meeting, 3-hour break, to meet after midnight, to then vote on something at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And don't take it personally, but take it personally. This was an opportunity for the city to have a landmark legacy of on their side that basically we gave away. Something that was worth $240 million was essentially given away by our city for $20 million, not even up front. I don't know if people know the price that's been paid, and they should. The people at the sign should know that when they have their, and they're not, I don't think they're getting paid now as it is, but as they're getting, and what will be minimal paid jobs, and when there's a couple, you know, token gestures here and there, I hope our whole city understands that the value of that was probably per person, of our 60,000 people, probably about $3,000 per person. So I hope we enjoy the moment as we continue to erode the rights and whatever things we had, whatever the benefits we had of this project. And as it went to vote, I hope that the people with the signs out there know that as one of the clauses, if you read the fine print, if anybody bothered, that fine print which had, it's all about jobs, 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 yet when land gets sold off, those provisions are excluded. And we already know it's going to be sold off. What we sold for $20 million will likely get sold off for $220, $240 million or so over a number of years, and the city does not participate in that at all. And with that transfer, as far as I can tell from reading the contract, there's no quota for jobs, as kind of absurd as the quota was and low as it was to begin with. And with the approvals process, that's been diminished. And with having a quality location for a school, that's pretty much written off, and that's in the most lowly center of this project. And our better circulation patterns that could have worked to our benefit and could have unified our city, and with FIU and other elements, that's gone. And basically what we're going to get are project-type housing, car dealerships, and basically outlet store-type retail. And we've let it happen. We had the opportunity to make a difference, and we didn't. Everything else from here on, good luck.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prevotel. Public hearing is still open. Mr. Each.
Kenneth Each, I'm a member of your planning commission, and Mr. Prevotel brought up some good points. I don't necessarily agree with everything in the project. Mr. Prevotel came up with a beautiful diagram of how he wanted to use the land out there, so forth and so on. That's not up for me to say anymore. This council already voted on this thing. Let's get this project moving. You know, how many times are we going to redo it? How long are we going to keep our feet stuck in the sand? You know, it's there. It's been presented to you. The council made its decision. Let's move the project forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
John Allred, 2672 Northeast 135 Street. This is a little sour grapes about some peoples who their design doesn't get used for this project. They come out with guns totally against this project. That's sour grapes. And you know what? There's a bigger thing in the city. It's about us as a community, not one person's design. I don't like the design. That's not what we're talking about right now. This project, as Mr. Kenny just said, has been red, to use race terms, red flagged, yellow flagged, green flagged. We have been running under yellow flag caution since October. We've been waiting for these jobs to go, and we have been crippled and handicapped by not being able to do the jobs that we all voted that we thought we were going to have come October. But we've just been, we've been running under caution. And if you look online, this city's motto is a city of progress. We are the city of process. This just keeps going on and on and on. And I've had to lay people off, hire them back, lay them off, hire them back. And that is not fair to the taxpayers of this city. These are North Miami residents that I have to keep hiring and laying off. They want to work, and they will work, and we need these jobs. And I think to the development that went to the north here, I brought up at the last council meeting when Eddie Lewis, Ray Perello, Don Sofer were developing a swamp up in Aventura, I think it was called Biscayne Gardens then. If they had to fight, like these developers here and the contractors have to fight to get to work, they would not have Aventura. I wonder if they would have continued the progress up there had they run into resistance that they keep getting in the city. Let's help them, help the contractors, help the residents, help the workers, and let's go forward with this. Please, I ask you to pass this, pass the next tab, and let's drop the green flag and go to work tomorrow.
Thank you. Go
Good
ahead.
evening, Council. Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. There were many residents at that meeting. First of all, with all due respect to Mr. Prevotel, he's a very thoughtful and committed civic activist, and I do respect his opinion, although there always are opposing opinions. There were a lot of citizens at that meeting. We sat here until 1 o'clock in the morning. Prior to that meeting, many civic activists were involved with our respective representatives up there in regards to what was going to transpire that evening. I can tell you that if there had been truly not a consensus of the citizens who were here with what the council had agreed to that evening, you certainly would have heard about it following that night. Carol Keyes was an activist before she got elected, and one of the few people who had the ability to read the contracts. And as you know, reading legalese is not an easy thing to do. If there was something wrong with that, I think she would have been the first one to throw up the flag. Councilman Galvin is also very versed in this. He's been sitting up there, I think, longer than all of you combined. And
Thanks for reminding
you're
everybody.
very welcome. You're my leader. And I have lots of conversations with him, and if there had been something wrong, he certainly would have said it. Councilwoman Sturrill also is very quick to find things and is a bulldog when something doesn't satisfy her. And she was fine with it. And Mr. Ben-Amin, you were certainly, sir, one of the most respectful and thoughtful mayors, interim mayors, that a city could ever want. And you made certain that every citizen that showed up here had their say and more. So from my point of view, I think you did a tremendous job. We need to go forward with this. We have to stop with this nonsense, for crying out loud. I just wanted to let you know that. So it's just a different opinion of what you hear when people come up and say the opposite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is the first time I just stand up to talk in that meeting. The reason why I'm here to talk. Oh, all right. You want my name and the name and address? No problem.
Just state it for the record, sir.
Okay, 1360 Northwest 121 Street. Friends, Pierre Michel. Thank you very much. I don't think any of you guys against the project Biscayne Landing. All of you, I know the work for those people, for the city, for this community. I do understand the concern of all of you who need jobs. And I believe no one against Biscayne Landing. But anything should be done correctly. Because I have one question for you, Mayor. Who should set the agenda? Because according to what you said, you want to say to the public you didn't know if this item is inside the agenda.
Yeah, but this.
Who should set the agenda?
We already went through that, and now we are on item with tab N, discussing a second reading. of an ordinance.
The city
Okay.
manager set the agenda.
Okay. So I think my concern, Biscayne Landing is very good. We're gonna work on it. Everybody gonna be agree to get job, but please do it properly, and all of us should sit together before you come to the meeting and to discuss some certain things like that.
It's
That's
against
my
the law. We
suggestion.
can't do that.
Now, before we discuss things like come to say, okay, Biscayne Landing this, Biscayne Landing that, but we need to do it before we come here. Because when
We
you come here,
cannot.
what happened? We bring some argument. We bring argument on Biscayne Landing to say, okay, okay, who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that? And he say he didn't know about that. That's not make sense.
cannot discuss
So it's better to respect. I think this is disrespectful. That's the way I see it. It's disrespectful for mayor come and they didn't know if that inside the agenda. That's unacceptable. Of course, Biscayne Landing is very nice. Everybody gonna be agree with that. But do it properly, everybody gonna be happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello. Yes, Sylvia Mayolo, 100 Northeast 124th Street. I came late today, and I have to check all the papers to know about. But I feel very uncomfortable when people talk about civil activists. Thank to the civil activists, to the union, who represent the worker, we can progress. And always, I believe, civil activists, they are welcome in a society who want a society who make good change in the future. It's all I want to say, but I get upset because we always need civil activists.
Thank you very much. A public hearing we'll take a last one.
Good evening. My name is Reynolds Jean Lewis. I'm ex-worker for the city of North Miami. First of all, tonight, this is the first time in, 10 years that I have came back to one of the meetings here. And as I said tonight, because every time I come here, there's always this same situation as when something's supposed to take place. It seems like we have 2 or 3 mayors on the board when the city has 1 mayor. So we have been through this again and over and over and again. We have a new mayor. So like tonight, as the mayor said before, if he calls in and says, take it off the agenda, then I would think it should be respected. It shouldn't be when we get here tonight, then this is discussed, it's on the board. This is what's been happening in North Miami. So it's time for changes because I've been sitting here, I've been living here for 25 years waiting for Biscayne Landing to change. Now my hair is turning gray. I was a young man working for the city. Now my hair is turning gray. Let's see this happen. This year, hopefully, we start building, we start doing the contracts so the people in North Miami will get a job with you, or hopefully we've been promised for jobs for years for this Biscayne Landing. So it's been fighting. So let's make this happen. Let's start something. Let's start some construction. Let's see something happen. That way, North Miami will prosper, and hopefully you'll become the best mayor that we ever had. And the best staff and the best people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jean-Louis.
Good evening. Beverly Hilton, 12495 Northwest 6th Avenue. Excuse my voice, I'm just getting over the flu. I agree with everyone, especially one person that said this is instead of a city of progress, it's a city of process. This is taking too long. When I saw it on the agenda, I was shocked. I thought this was far gone. Please, no more procrastination. Let's just move this on. We need to get Biscayne Landing built. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is now closed. Now, council members, let's see if we have any discussion before we let's take our final vote.
Go ahead. Thank you.
I'm sorry, before you discuss, can I just clarify something on the ordinance?
Go ahead.
It seems that the applicant no longer wishes to make a proposal for an amendment to section 3-410A sub 2. So I recommend that what was heard and adopted on first reading be presented for second reading. With respect to the proposed change for section C, the notwithstanding any provision to the contrary in section 3-410, I am going to, again, just would like to clarify whether you are requesting that amendment or not, because I'm not really sure.
Yes.
Yes, you are, okay.
We're asking
So
that
given,
clarification that
that's
we've all
fine. So
discussed
given
many
that I
times,
believe that it's
be
not
adopted.
inconsistent with the body of the entire section, I have no objections to that amendment pursuant to, of course, the council's wishes.
Madam Attorney, may I ask what you said on the first part? Because we weren't withdrawing anything that we had applied for. There was a further amendment to this ordinance regarding the section on appeals?
No,
That
no, I'm talking about section 3-410A sub 2, where you stated earlier that that was the city's request and not your request. So given that was some,
No, there was a further amendment that I read into the record tonight beyond that which was already published. And honestly, it's up to the city. If you don't want to make that amendment, we don't really care.
okay,
as
that's what I'm
long
saying.
as
So
it
given,
pass-
given your
I mean,
position, that my recommendation to
You
the
all
city
requested
council.
it, we included it in the ordinance. If you don't want to do it, that's up to you. It's a clarification with regard to that sub 2.
I just echoed what you said, sir. So given your position, I am recommending that what be presented to council is what they adopted in the first reading. That will stay for second reading.
Okay.
Thank
Now,
you, sir.
I understand the point.
So just to clarify, what you have before you that was published for first reading, the only language that they have requested be added is sub C, which is notwithstanding any provision to the contrary in this section 3-410. Then the current language says a previously approved issued conditional use permit, and they wanted to include as may be amended from time to time. I have no objection to that because it doesn't really change, or it's not inconsistent with the spirit and body of
Madam
the
Attorney,
section.
there was a further change that you asked for earlier in the day that we talked about, which was to say sections A and B.
Okay, correct,
at
to
the
sections
end.
A and B at the end, correct. Thank you.
So what would be the process, Madam City Attorney?
So there would be a motion to amend pursuant to that request, and if there was a second and a vote, then it would be adopted.
Motion to amend based on the city attorney's recommendations.
Are we voting for that?
The amendment?
They're voting for the tab and the amendment.
Second for discussion, because I have a question about that. We had discussions before, we're talking about the Spine Road, this 10-foot variation. I know that at the south end, you're going to be connecting to 143rd Street.
This is
Biscayne.
actually just on the text amendment.
But-
It is
but
not
you-
the
but it-
resolution itself.
Right, it's not the resolution.
We haven't gotten to the resolution in the CUP for Biscayne Landing. This
Well,
is just
but I
the
have-
text amendment.
Okay, but my question is, this talks about notwithstanding an approved and issued conditional use permit. The original condition, this goes, bottom line, this goes to the road that goes by the Oaks. That was a previously approved road. And that was,
The existing driveway, is that what you were referring to? The
in the
existing roadway?
initial concept plan,
Yes.
a couple years ago, you had the Spine Road going by the Oaks. You still have to work out agreements with the Oaks. You need an easement now, so you've moved the Spine Road down further, which I wasn't pleased with. But this says if it's, because what I was going to ask is, and we had discussed it, if we move it if we move the egress any further east on 151st Street, that's a benefit to all of us. It's a benefit to the city. It alleviates more traffic. So what you've put in here is you said a previously approved and issued conditional use permit would not be a minor or substantial revision. Since you've previously approved that several concepts ago, does that mean that that previously approved road going over there would be included in here? I know it's confusing, but I know you
This
understand
text
that too.
amendment addresses all conditional use permits citywide. It is not specific to Biscayne Landing.
That's correct.
We did file the application because the city asked us to do so. And so we were the sponsor of the request, but it is actually an application, a change that would affect all conditional use permits. Councilwoman, I believe that what you're talking about is language that's in the draft conditional use permit that's under the next tab. Because what this is doing is saying, assuming it gets approved, that each conditional use permit would then set its own parameters for what is a minor change or a substantial change. And so this is, if you will, a
So
precursor
this is
to
for the whole
the
thing.
CUP, and that issue, I believe, is appropriately addressed under the conditional use permit that will come up presumably on the next matter.
Okay, well, this is language we worked on quite a bit, so I'm approve of it, support it. Thank you for the clarification.
Councilman?
No questions.
Councilwoman? Councilman, District 3?
No.
So, Mayor, we have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab K with the amendment, approved with amendments as read into the record by the city attorney, and that motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Joseph, how do you vote?
Yes.
Item passes 5-0. Tab L, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing approval of the conditional use permit in substantially the attached form, transferring 58 bonus units from the neighborhood redevelopment overlay, NRO, district primary residential pool.
You're doing M?
What tab?
You're doing M?
That's tab L. You gotta
I'm
go on
reading
M.
tab L.
L.
No, you're not. I'm reading tab L.
It's M in ours.
M.
Okay, I have tab L. So we're skipping tab L and moving M, or?
That's tab L. You cannot go on M.
Cornell.
That's
You
L.
have the old one. You have the old cap, the whole agenda.
So I don't think, you guys didn't think it was important to give me an updated agenda? What the hell? So which tab am I reading?
L. As in Larry.
L?
Larry.
Thank you. See the respect they have for the clerk's office? I have an old agenda. Tab L. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending the previously issued conditional use permit and conceptual master development plan for tract of Biscayne Landing Plate in accordance with Article 3, Section 3-405 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Now, regarding this particular item, this is a quasi-judicial matter. If there's anyone who want to be heard on this item, you have to stand up and be sworn so I can swear you in. Again, if you intend to be heard on tab L during public hearing, you would have to stand at this moment and raise your right hand, unless you're an attorney, of course. For the record, we have Mr. Burns, is your hand up? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2,
You have to know which one.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 hands up, so 10 individuals will, now 11. 11 hands, now 12. 12 hands up, 12 individuals, and only 12 individuals will be heard on this item. May you please write, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? For the record, all 12 individuals have indicated I do. Thank you.
Public hearing is now open. Public hearing is open on the item.
Are you, Tanya, are you gonna make a presentation?
The recommendation is for the City Council to adopt the proposed resolution amending the previously issued conditional use permit and conceptual master plan for Track A of the Biscayne Landing Plat in accordance with Article 3, Section 3-405 and 3-410B of the city's land development regulations. As the council may be aware, this property is zoned PD, and for all planned developments, the code requires that it has an approved and issued conditional use permit. The Biscayne Landing property has received an approved conditional use permit back in 2013. The request before you is to amend the previously issued conditional use permit and to also provide revisions to the conditions within that permit. Along with this request, there's also an updated conceptual master plan map that's been included in your packet. Staff has reviewed the request and is recommending approval of the item at this time. I know the applicant has a formal presentation that they'd like to introduce on the record.
Good evening. For the record again, my name is Carter McDowell with Bills and Sundberg, representing Olita Partners, the developers of Biscayne Landing. Just because there has been some discussion, I think it's appropriate to discuss a little bit of the history of how we got here. We began discussions with the city back in the late summer about Biscayne Landing and issues related to it. And we actually filed this application for this modified conditional use permit in early November. It has been before your planning commission, and there was a quasi-judicial hearing there. Your staff, as you heard, has recommended approval of this modified conditional use permit. The primary purpose of the amendment that's before you is really two or threefold, and then I'm going to ask our planner to come up and talk to you about the conceptual land use plan that is incorporated into the conditional use permit briefly, and we will try to keep it brief. I would reserve time at the end of the hearing for rebuttal after the public hearing, because this is a quasi-judicial matter. We are entitled to rebuttal if there are people who speak for or against the project. So I would reserve time for rebuttal at the end of the public comments. The primary purpose is to streamline the development process for Biscayne Landing, to allow it to move forward, to recognize that it is a very, very unique property within the city of North Miami. I note just in terms of its location, it's 183 acres. Everybody is aware it's a former landfill. We actually have no neighbors in the city of North Miami other than the treatment plant to our north. To our west is a mangrove fringe and FIU. To the north is the treatment plant. To the south, there is a mobile home park and some residential uses that are actually located in the city of North Miami Beach and not in North Miami. To our west are several commercial uses, Costco, the shopping center, Target, post office, all of which are actually located in the city of North Miami Beach. We have no actual neighbors on this property within the city of North Miami. That will become, I think, important as we talk about some of the site planning criteria in this modified conditional use permit. As I say, we've been through a quasi-judicial process. The staff is recommending approval. That staff recommendation is competent, substantial evidence under the law to support the approval of this application. It determined in reviewing the application that we met each of the review criteria, and it is there, and therefore they have recommended approval. So it in and of itself is substantial competent evidence to support this approval. The Planning Commission did not recommend approval. We believe that there were issues with regard to that hearing. There was a member of your commission who participated, who has been a vocal opponent to this project from day one, who chose to continue to sit on the board and to vote on this project. We believe that prejudiced the ability to have a fair hearing before that board. That gentleman, who is Mr. Prevotel, no reason to hide about it, has already spoken against this project again tonight. The state statutes provide that if you believe as a board member that you cannot be fair and impartial, that you should recuse yourself. He chose not to do that, which is his right to choose to do, but we believe that his presentation during that meeting and his discussion with his board members affected that vote of the Planning Commission itself, and therefore it is not substantial competent evidence before you in terms of this approval. With that said, let me ask our planner from EDSA to come up and talk to you a little bit about the changes in the conceptual land use plan. And I think it's important to note, it is a conceptual land use plan. When I heard earlier a discussion that we couldn't move a road more than 40 feet without affecting a building. Well, those building locations are conceptual. They are conceptual. They are not final locations for any building anywhere on the site. We, as you know, this is a very large redevelopment, and it will change over time. The lease, the 200-year lease that we have currently with the city of North Miami allows us to change that plan unilaterally as the developer of that property. It's an existing 200-year lease that gives us the right to do that. So you need to put in context when you say move a road affects a building, the reality is the building is more likely to move than the road. And we are on a landfill, and there are structural issues with regard to building on that landfill, which we won't fully understand until we actually go to construct the road or the buildings. And ironically, it's more difficult to build a road over a landfill than a building, because the building is built on pilings. So the pilings go down through the landfill and support the building. A road is built on a stabilized surface and is actually more difficult to build over a landfill than in fact a building is. With that, let me turn it over to our planner, who's going to give you a brief summary of the differences between the previous conceptual plan and the current conceptual plan, and then I have a few more remarks I would like to make. Actually, I would also like to submit to the clerk for the record copies of the minutes of the planning, the staff recommendations, your copies of your ordinance and the statutes that govern this process, and we would like to submit that for the record as part of this hearing process. Thank you.
That's her resume. Okay, considering the fact that this is a quasi-judicial matter, we're going to accept these 3 items as Exhibit 1, which is a resume. It's going to be marked on there, Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2, which is apparently an EDSA experience book. We're going to mark this Exhibit 2. And last but not least, I have a binder here in which it will be marked Exhibit 3, which is titled Biscayne Landing. Evidentiary submittal will be marked Exhibit 3. Thank you.
Okay, what are we waiting for? Mr. Clerk?
We're waiting to put it up on the screen, right? So everybody could see it.
Yeah, we're setting up a computer file here for the presentation.
What's that? He's coming.
You see it? The board?
So you could scan. If you put the board in the middle, the cameras will pick it up so you could get it on.
It will not show on the screen, so we need you to bring the boards to the front so we can go on. Mr. Manager, can you turn this so the public can see it as well? I don't know. Uh, Turn it around, Alim. Mr. Manager. I'm used to calling him Alim.
Okay. My name is Catalina Facundo. I am a landscape architect with EDSA at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am going to walk you through this concept plan and I'm going to explain the land uses that we have proposed, which reflects what we have proposed before on the concept plan. The first board is a conceptual is the conceptual land use plan. If you see on the blue color, we have proposed residential and limited commercial use, which means that is located on the east parcel. Same use is on the south parcel, residential and limited commercial. The spine road stays the same as we proposed on our previous plans. On the green color, you will find the active and passive parks that link through the spine road, and then they get along with a trail system that goes on the perimeter of the property. On the center area, we are proposing a commercial and office and limited commercial use. And on the north area, we are doing mixed use area. As I said, the spine road stays the same. Red areas are retention and storm water areas. And the second board is the conceptual master development plan. As I said, it's a concept, and this reflects more in detail what the concept land use is done. So as if you compare the two plans, central area again is the retail area, commercial area. Then on the south neighborhood and east neighborhood, we have proposed residential units linked with secondary roads that connect to the main spine road, amenity areas on the central area. On the north side, again, we have the mixed use, and all this ties together with the pedestrian circulation. It links into secondary roads and the loop roads that we are proposing on the residential areas. We have also proposed bicycle and pedestrian circulation, as I said. All these, the spine road is connected to two main points, which is the 151 Street and the 143 Street. On 151 on the north side, 143 on the west side of the property. The green area on our land uses is also representing the active area, which you will see the ball fields that we put there, just we can identify the size of this area. I think that's everything that we can say about these two plans.
Council members, Michael Tillman, President, Olita Partners. A few general comments, and then I'll dive into the CUP and the conceptual master plan. This evening, Biscayne Landing is on the agenda for two items. One item was the text amendment ordinance, which we just voted on. The other item is an amendment to the existing CUP. This amendment will clarify some of the ambiguities that exist in the overall construction and development process. It'll allow us to really move forward hand in hand with the City Council and the City Administration to get the building process going. Both of these items are key parts of the larger overall deal that the city and Olita have been working on now for several months. That deal includes the sale of the 50 acres of land, improving the efficiency of the development process, as well as removing the city center fill material from the site. Both of these documents, including the CUP amendment, have been drafted, discussed, and negotiated with your head of planning, Tanya Wilson-Chajur, with your city attorney, Regine Monesteem, and with your city manager, Aleem Ghani, over the past several months. Additionally, these items have been discussed with council members and have also been present at several different town halls over the course of the past few months. We believe we are inches away from finalizing a deal with the city and finally getting Biscayne Landing started. Getting that work started actually means delivering the jobs that we have spoken about for years. Those jobs initially will start pretty quickly because we are ready to get the work going. We had started, then we stopped. We are ready to get started. We are anxious to start. Over time, that work will create thousands of jobs. And on top of the thousands of jobs, millions of dollars in tax revenues. And we really are ready to start. LEFRAC is here. Olita Partners is ready to begin. With that said, just quickly, I noticed that the camera was focused on the conceptual master plan, which shows a lot of boxes on a green map. That over the past has been what people have focused on. Can the camera focus on this map, please? This map that shows the uses is really the key map to understanding the conceptual master plan. Buildings are going to move around, they're going to change shape, they're going to change configuration. The key things here are the uses that you see within these different colors. These dictate what we can and cannot do in these different areas. So therefore, you see on the eastern and southern parcels in blue, the residential and limited commercial areas. You see in the middle of the property while we broke it up, commercial, office, hotel, auto dealer, mixed use, and mixed use in hotel. To us, that's really all commercial and mixed use. That's the intent, right? So when people fixate on why boxes and buildings are in a certain way, that's conceptual. Those things will change as tastes change, as developers change, as needs change for the project. But the important thing is to understand that you have on the eastern and southern portions the residential, and you have in the center of the property the commercial and mixed use, which we intend to get moving on as quickly as we can once we get these approvals and the deal finalized. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Forgive me, but I want to do one more thing that we were asked to do again about 5:15 this afternoon. And I'm going to hand to the city attorney and the manager a few additional copies. It's a slightly modified Exhibit B to the resolution that's, and I'll tell you exactly what the change is in just a moment. It's very small.
You got this one already?
The city attorney, in reviewing the document yet again today, asked us if we would consider making what I believe is a conforming change to the language that is under paragraph 7 on B10 in what is being handed out to you. And we agreed that we would make that conforming change so that the language in the text amendment and the language in this conditional use permit would be truly parallel. And so the first sentence of paragraph 7 would now read, pursuant to section 3-410C of the Land Development Regulations, which is what you just modified, the following shall define what constitutes minor and substantial revisions for the purpose of this CUP, conditional use permit by any other name, under sections 3-410A and B. There was language in the original version that referred to, in the event of a conflict between this section and those sections, and the city attorney asked us to remove that language. We are fine with that change. We would ask you, and this is at the request of the city, we agreed we would conform these two provisions to be the same. So as and when you get to a motion to approve, I think it would be appropriate for you to include that change, as we are agreeing with the city attorney to make that change. I would note that the planner is from EDSA, which is a world-renowned planning firm and landscape architecture firm. She is an expert in the field and provided additional expert testimony to you with regard to this project. Once again, I reserve time for rebuttal at the end of the public presentation, please.
Thank you very much. Now we are open for public hearing.
Who's running the timer during this?
I got it.
2-minute timer, please. Public hearing is now open. I believe, do we have any more presentation?
Carter?
We have no more presentation?
Seeing no public discussion, I'd move to close public discussion.
Everybody's saving it for the last minute. Again, William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'd like to respond to what was mentioned a little bit earlier. I am a member of the Planning Commission. I have been active on this, actively concerned about this project for the 2 or so years that it's been before the Planning Commission. And I've done everything I can to bring awareness to our community, to our council, to try to get the best possible product, the best possible results. And I don't apologize for that, and I don't think it's a conflict of interest of any sort, and I don't think my actions have been in any way inappropriate. It's been an honest, unbiased concern for our citizenry. But quite honestly, what happened at the Planning Commission meeting was a last gasp. The Planning Commission was quite unsatisfied with the many problems of this plan, and it was just a gesture. As you all know, it's just an advisory committee, and it was exactly that, a gesture of disapproval of how this has come to this point this far. Granted, there have been some minor improvements, but there are still many problematic elements, many, that have not been resolved. Quite honestly, we've been out lobbied. The city's been out lawyered. We've been outsmarted. And I give them credit for that. And the point is that it's not about the plan. It's about a whole range of things. It's the plan, it's the price, it's everything. But we've given away pretty much the potential. We've given away the profit. And right now, why are we playing games with the protocol? How much worse can they do? Just let them go ahead. For us to play games with, 10 feet here and 10 feet there, we've missed the point. That train has left. And just open the gates and let them go and hope for the best. And that's what I mean. And I am sincere about that. If we didn't realize during the last 2 years the importance of getting this off to the right foot, then nothing we're going to do now is going to change it for any better than whatever they intend to do. Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.